Maria was a young woman living in a small town in the early 1980s. She had always dreamed of having children. And when she found out she was pregnant, she was filled with happiness. She and her husband David had a modest but warm home. Worked hard and their life was simple but full of love. When Maria gave birth to Triplets, 3 baby girls all, the town seemed to share in their joy. It was a rare and special event. Friends and neighbors came to visit, bringing gifts and good wishes. The triplets were named Lily, Rose, and Daisy. Maria loved watching them sleep side by side in their crib. Every day she felt grateful to have such a blessing. She and David dreamed about the future. They talked about how the girls would grow up together, play in the garden, and go to school as best friends. The family was close, and the house was filled with laughter and hope. But life changed suddenly. One quiet morning, when Maria was just in the kitchen preparing breakfast, the triplets were nowhere to be found. The girls had been sleeping in their room, safe and sound the night before. Now, the crib was empty. Maria's heart stopped. She called for David and the neighbors. Everyone searched the house, the yard, and the nearby streets, but the triplets were gone. Maria and David were taken to the police station. The officers listened carefully, but they had no clues. There was no sign of forced entry, no footprints in the yard, no witnesses. It was as if the triplets vanished into thin air. The police started a search operation, asking the whole town and nearby areas to help. Posters with the girls' pictures were put up everywhere. Days turned into weeks, and still no news. Maria spent every moment thinking about her daughters. Called hospitals, shelters, and police stations in other cities, hoping for a call or a sign. The town held vigils and prayers. Maria's family and friends tried to support her, but they could see the pain in her eyes growing deeper each day. At night, Maria would sit by the window, holding one of the girls' small blankets, wishing to hear their laughter again. David tried to stay strong for Maria and himself, but the sadness was hard to bear. The loss felt like a heavy weight that would never lift. Some people in the town whispered about what might have happened. Some thought it was an accident. Others feared a stranger might have taken the girls, but no one knew for sure. The mystery of the missing triplets left everyone in fear and confusion. Maria did not give up hope. She promised herself that she would find her daughters no matter how long it took. She talked to reporters, hoping the story would spread wider. She learned about missing children organizations and joined them. She kept a journal where she wrote down every detail she remembered about that day and every lead that came to her. As the months passed, Maria's health began to suffer. She became tired and sad, but she never stopped searching. The house felt empty without the sounds of her daughters. Their favorite toys remained untouched, and their tiny clothes hung in the closet. Every corner reminded Maria of what she had lost. David tried to comfort her, but sometimes he felt helpless. He worried that Maria's hope might one day fade away. Yet she surprised him with her strength. She believed in miracles. She believed that one day the girls would come back. The community never forgot the family. The neighbors organized search groups and fundraisers. The local newspaper ran stories to keep the case alive. Maria met other parents who had lost children, and they shared their pain and hopes together, even though years passed. Maria's heart stayed full of love for Lily, Rose, and Daisy. She dreamed of the day they would return home. Her husband and family stood by her side through every hard moment. The world seemed bigger and colder without the triplets. But Maria's love was like a light that never went out. The story of Maria and her missing triplets was a quiet pain in the town, a mystery that no one could solve. But Maria held on to a small, shining hope. She knew that love could cross time and distance, and in her. For 30 long years, Maria never stopped hoping or searching for her missing triplets. Every day was filled with memories of Lily, Rose, and Daisy, and every night she wished for a miracle. Though the years passed slowly, Maria's heart stayed strong. She believed her daughters were still out there somewhere waiting to be found. Maria used many ways to keep the search alive. She talked to police officers, reporters, and volunteers who helped parents find missing children. She joined support Groups where other mothers and fathers shared stories of loss and hope. These groups became a place where Maria could cry and also find strength from others who understood her pain. She put up posters with the triplets' faces everywhere in stores, on walls, at bus stops. Sometimes strangers called to say they had seen children who looked like Lily, Rose, and Daisy, but none of these leads turned out to be true. Still, Maria never gave up. She checked every tip, every call, no matter how small or far away. Maria also spoke on local radio programs, asking people to help spread the word. She told her story with a clear voice, hoping to reach someone who might know something. She explained how the girls had been part of the town's heart and how the family was still waiting for answers. Her voice touched many listeners, and some volunteers came forward to help. The townspeople, too, remembered the missing triplets. Some older neighbors told stories about the girls' early days. The local school kept their photos in the yearbook, hoping the girls might return one day. Even new families moving to the town heard about the story and felt a quiet sadness. Maria's fight became a symbol of hope and patience in the community. Despite the hope, the years brought many challenges. Maria grew older. Her health was not as strong as before. Some days, she felt very tired and alone. She missed the laughter of her daughters in the house, the sound of their footsteps on the floor. The empty room seemed colder as time passed. But she never let herself fall into despair. David, her husband, shared the burden. Though it was hard for him too, he stayed by Maria's side. He helped with the search and kept the family's memories alive. He made sure Maria ate well and rested, knowing how much the long wait was wearing her down. Their love for each other and for their daughters held them. Together through the darkest times, Maria's family also grew with the years. Her brothers and sisters offered help and comfort. Friends stopped by often, bringing food and company. Sometimes the house was full of noise and laughter again. But the silence left by the triplets was still there. Deep inside the walls, one thing Maria never stopped doing was dreaming. She imagined what her daughters would look like as young women. She thought about the friends they might have made, the places they could be living. Sometimes she pictured them coming back home, walking through the door with smiles and stories. To share these dreams kept her going. Maria also studied ways to find missing people. She learned about new technology like DNA tests and databases where people's information was stored. She hoped these tools might one day help her find her daughters. She talked to experts and shared the triplets' DNA with police, waiting for a match. Even as the world changed, Maria's hope stayed steady. She watched her town grow, saw new families move in, and new children play. But for her, the past and the future were tied together by the memory of Lily, Rose, and Daisy. The missing triplets were always with her. In her heart and mind, one day Maria met a woman at a community event who gave her a small piece of news. It was not a clear answer, but it was a new light, a name, and a place to check. This small sign felt like a light in the dark. Maria took the information seriously and planned to follow it carefully. Maria's life was not easy. The long years of waiting, searching, and hoping had changed her. She sometimes felt frustration and sadness, but she was also proud of her own courage. She was proud that she had never forgotten her daughters and had never stopped fighting for them. The story of the missing triplets was known beyond the town. Sometimes reporters came to ask questions. Maria shared what she could, always careful. To protect her family's privacy, she wanted the world to understand how important it was to never give up on loved ones who disappear. Maria's search was more than just finding her daughters. It was about keeping their memory alive and giving them a chance to come home. It was about healing a broken family and bringing light to a mystery that had shadowed their lives for so long. And so, the years went by with Maria still looking, still hoping, still believing. Her heart was full of love, and her spirit was unbroken. The triplets may have been lost from sight, but they were never lost from her heart. One clear afternoon, 30 years after the triplets disappeared, Maria went to the town square to buy some groceries. The sun was shining softly, and the streets were calm. As she walked slowly, lost in her thoughts, something caught her eye. Across the square, a woman was standing near a bench. Maria stopped. She felt a strange pull in her heart. The woman looked calm and peaceful, but Maria noticed something familiar in her face. It was a face she had seen many times before in her dreams and memories, the shape of the eyes, the curve of the lips. It reminded her of Lily, one of her lost triplets. Her heart began to beat faster. Could it really be? Maria watched quietly from a distance. The woman was talking to a friend. On the phone, smiling gently, Maria felt a rush of emotions. Hope, fear, and disbelief all mixed together. She wanted to approach, but was afraid. What if she was wrong? What if this was a mistake, after all these years? The woman then took out a small photo from her bag and showed it to her friend on the phone. Maria's breath caught. The photo was clear and bright. It was a picture of 3 young women who looked exactly like the triplets, Lily, Rose, and Daisy. Maria's hands trembled. How could this be? She decided to follow the woman quietly as she walked toward a nearby cafe. Maria sat at a corner table and watched as the woman met with others. She heard parts of their conversation, but could not understand much. Then the woman pulled out a family album and showed photos of the triplets as babies. Maria realized this. Woman must be one of her daughters, or at least someone who knew them well. But why had she never come forward before? Why did no one tell her? Maria's mind raced with questions. She tried to calm herself and think carefully. This discovery was shocking, but also gave her a new chance, a way to finally learn the truth. After some time, Maria gathered her courage and approached the woman gently. She spoke softly. "Excuse me, I believe you might know my daughters. I'm Maria. They disappeared many years ago." The woman looked at Maria with surprise, but then smiled kindly. "I have something to tell you," she said quietly. "I know about the triplets." Maria's heart soared. The moment she had dreamed of for so long was finally here. The woman invited Maria to sit with her and share what she knew. Slowly, the woman began to tell a story that Maria had never heard before. She explained that the triplets had been taken away by someone close to the family, someone who wanted to protect them from danger. For many years, the girls had lived separately in different homes, far from each other, to keep them safe. The woman told Maria about the sacrifices made by those who cared for the triplets in secret. They had hidden the girls to protect them from threats Maria did not know about. This was the reason no one came forward sooner. It was a painful secret, but it was meant to keep the triplets safe. Maria listened with tears in her eyes. The truth was hard to accept, but it also explained why the triplets had vanished without a trace. The woman showed more photos and letters that proved her story. Maria felt a mix of emotions. Relief that her daughters were alive, sadness for the lost years, and anger for the secrets kept from her. But most of all, she felt hope. Hope that she could finally see her daughters again and rebuild their family. The woman promised to help Maria find the other 2 triplets. She explained that it would take time and care to bring everyone back together. They needed to prepare for the reunion carefully, to heal old wounds and build trust. Maria agreed. She knew this was just the beginning of a new journey. But after 30 years of waiting, she was ready to face whatever came next. That day marked a turning point in Maria's life. The small moment in the town square had changed everything. The missing triplets were no longer just a memory. They were real, and they were near. Maria left the cafe feeling tired, but full of hope. She looked up at the sky and whispered a thank you to the stars. The journey to find her daughters again was long, but she was no longer alone. From that moment on, Maria's days were filled with meetings, phone calls, and plans. She worked with the woman and others who had helped care for the triplets. Slowly, piece by piece, the story of what happened over the last 30 years began to come together. Maria learned about the places the girls had lived, the people who had cared for them, and the reasons for their separation. Each detail brought her closer to the daughters she loved so much. Though the road ahead was not easy, Maria felt a new strength inside her. After decades of pain and loss, she was finally beginning to find answers. The mystery was unraveling, and with it came the chance for healing. After the shocking discovery in the town square, Maria and the woman began to talk more deeply. The woman's name was Elena, and she was one of the triplets. But her story was complicated. Elena explained that after they disappeared, the triplets were hidden by someone they all trusted, a close family friend who wanted to protect them from danger. This person had been afraid that a threat was coming to the family. Elena said the triplets were very young, and their safety was the most important thing. To keep them safe, the triplets were separated and placed in different homes, far away from each other. No one outside the trusted circle knew where they were. Elena told Maria about the many years they spent apart. Each girl grew up in a different city, with different families who cared for them like their own daughters. They had different schools, friends, and lives. Elena herself had no idea what had happened to her sisters until recently. Elena shared how she discovered some old letters and photos that revealed the truth about their past. She and her sisters had kept these secrets because they were told. It was for their protection. The triplets had missed their mother deeply, but had been told it was safer not to contact her until the danger passed. Maria felt a deep pain listening to Elena's words. She thought about all the moments she missed with her daughters, the birthdays, the school plays, the hugs. But she also understood the reason behind the silence. It was a story of love and sacrifice, even if it caused so much pain. Elena invited Maria to meet the other two triplets. The sisters were nervous but ready to face their mother. Maria felt her heart swell with hope and fear at the same time. She wanted to see her daughters, but also knew that healing would take time. The family began to slowly reconnect. They arranged meetings in quiet places where they could talk and share their stories. Maria learned about the struggles the girls had faced growing up without their mother and each other. The triplets told her about their feelings of loss and confusion. Even though they were sisters, they had grown apart. Each had developed different interests and ways of thinking. It was clear that rebuilding their relationship would need patience and care. Maria listened with an open heart. She understood that the past 30 years could not be changed, but the future was still theirs to shape. She promised her daughters that she would be there for them, no matter what. The community around them also became part of the healing. Neighbors and friends offered support, welcoming the daughters back into the town they had never left in heart. Local counselors helped the family work through the emotional challenges. Maria and the triplets spent many hours talking, crying, and laughing together. They looked through old photos and shared memories. Slowly, the bonds between mother and daughters grew stronger. Maria learned that the family friend who had hidden the triplets had acted out of fear and love. Though secrets had caused pain, the intention had been to keep the girls safe. Maria found it hard to forgive at times, but also knew that anger would not help. Together, the family decided to face the past with honesty and kindness. They knew that rebuilding trust and love was the most important thing now. The triplets began to visit the house where they were born. Maria showed them the garden where they once played and the rooms where their toys still waited. These moments brought a sense of peace and belonging. As weeks passed, the sisters found joy in being together again. They made new memories, supported each other, and started to understand their shared history. Maria felt a deep happiness she had not known in many years. Though the journey had been painful, the reunion was a miracle she never stopped hoping. 4. The story of the triplets' return spread beyond the town. It became a tale of hope, courage, and the power of family. Many people were inspired by Maria's strength and the sisters' willingness to come back. Maria knew the road ahead would still have challenges. Healing from years of separation was not easy, but the love they shared was strong enough to overcome any obstacle. In the quiet moments, Maria looked at her daughters and whispered thanks to the stars. She was grateful for this second chance, this new beginning. Would you like me to continue with part 5 next? After the reunion, Maria and her triplets faced a new journey, one of healing and moving forward. The years apart had left many wounds. Each daughter carried her own pain and questions. Maria herself had carried the heavy burden of loss for so long that learning to live with the new reality was not easy. The first weeks were full of mixed emotions. There were joyful moments like laughter and shared stories, but also times of silence and tears. The triplets found it hard to trust. Again, they had lived separate lives, and suddenly they had to learn how to be sisters. Maria knew this would take time, patience, and love. Maria and her daughters decided to see a counselor who specialized in families dealing with loss and trauma. Together, they worked through feelings of anger, sadness, and confusion. Helped them understand that healing was not a straight path. Sometimes they would take steps forward, and sometimes back. But the important thing was they were walking together. The triplets began to spend more time at Maria's house. Slowly, they filled the rooms with their voices and energy. The garden that had once been empty was now full of life again. Maria loved watching her daughters grow close, seeing them share meals and memories. Though it was difficult, the family talked openly about the past. Maria listened as the girls shared stories of their childhoods apart from her and from each other. They talked about the families who cared for them and the sacrifices they had made. Maria realized how strong her daughters were, how much they had endured. At times, Maria felt guilt. She wondered if she could have done more or acted differently. But the triplets reassured her that they never blamed her. They knew she had never stopped loving them. This gave Maria comfort and hope. The town welcomed the triplets warmly. Friends and neighbors offered support, and many people came to visit. The story of their return was shared on local news, inspiring others to never lose hope. Maria's courage had touched many hearts. As the family grew stronger, they began to create new traditions. They celebrated birthdays together, cooked meals as a family, and went on small trips. These moments helped to build trust and joy. Maria treasured each smile and hug. The sisters also found ways to connect beyond the family. They joined clubs, worked on projects together, and discovered shared interests. Even though they had different personalities, the bond of being triplets was powerful. They learned to support each other through challenges and celebrate each other's successes. Maria often thought about the future. She wanted to help her daughters heal fully and live happy lives. She also wanted to share their story so others facing loss would find hope. Maria spoke at events, encouraging families to never give up on their loved ones. The journey was not without challenges. Sometimes memories from the past brought pain. Sometimes the sisters disagreed or felt frustrated. But Maria believed that, with love and patience, all wounds could heal. One day Maria looked around her home and smiled. The house that had once been quiet and empty was now filled with warmth and laughter. The triplets were no longer missing. They were home. Maria felt grateful for the chance to rebuild her family. Though the years had been hard, the reunion had brought new meaning to her life. She knew that love could heal even the deepest wounds. The story of Maria and her triplets became a symbol of hope in their community. It reminded people that no matter how long the wait or how deep the pain, families could find their way back to each other. Maria held her daughters close and whispered, "We are together now, and that is what matters most." And in that moment, all the years of waiting and searching felt worth it.